everyone, and welcome to Lying Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. I am Carol Kearns. My husband, Harry Shue, is our co-host. Our mission for the show is twofold: to provide information about Connecticut Lions events and to showcase the many different organizations and causes that Lions support locally, regionally, and internationally. Harry?
Good evening and welcome. Please consult our website at www.lions23b.org or your district spirit for more information on coming events.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lying Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry.
We are here at CRIS Radio in Windsor, Connecticut. Thanks to Diane Weaver-Dunn, who is the executive director, for inviting us this morning. Actually, early this afternoon, we're going to hear about CRIS Radio, what their plans are. As you know, the Connecticut Lions, not just District 23B, we are major supporters of CRIS Radio. They do such a great job, so we are looking forward to a very informative session, Carol.
Sounds exciting. En avant.
On with the show.
For taking time out of your day to come in and learn more about CRIS Radio. And as you know, CRIS Radio has made a lot of changes in the last 10 years. We've been really engaging and integrating new technologies so that we can serve more people. So I'm going to try to go through this. Most of you probably know we're 41 years old. We are 501c3. And actually and we do broadcast 24/7, but Charlie was just asking about how did we get started, and it was sort of a discussion between, it was the Archdiocese, the Archbishop Whalen, with the former executive director of the Board of Education and Services for the Blind. And they realized that people who were blind were really isolated because they did not know what was going on with current events. So we started with a 2-hour broadcast in 1979. Actually, we incorporated in 78, but we first broadcast for 2 hours, only the Hartford Current in just the greater Hartford area. With the sideband was donated by WJ&J. It's through the Archdiocese. That's how we started. Today, we broadcast statewide. We have now 5 studios where we do local news, and we have this new digital state-of-the-art facility here in Windsor. Now, Lions clubs have been extremely important to us, and actually we're not exactly sure how we became connected to the Lions Club. However, they have been incredibly significant to us because the Lions clubs individually, all the clubs, they donate over $40,000. This year was $40,000. Last year was around $41,000. And checks might still come in from the end of the year. But that is huge because it actually surpassed what the state of Connecticut has donated or supported us for the last 4 years.
What percentage is 40,000 of your
I
total?
have that as a percentage. Yep. I'll get that to you. But anyways, we're always willing to try to get to Lions Club meetings to speak. But if you folks, being our messengers, if you can do that, Lou actually has, he has a lot of information for you. He has a list of all the Lions Clubs that have donated. He also we have flyers and applications about our programs that you can take with you. And we can, bundle it up for you if you're interested. Initially, we were CRIS Radio, and now we have additional programs. And it's really thanks to new technology. CRIS Kids, we realized that kids would not sit next to a radio and listen to a broadcast, but they would listen to podcasts. So we started with this CRIS Kids 13 magazines, award-winning children's magazines, first in the nation to do this extensive lineup of kids magazines. One day we're doing a mailing here, and one of Lou's buddies, he was the former special ed director for Windsor Public Schools, said, this CRIS Kids is a good idea, but what's better? What's better is if you could provide custom recordings of classroom materials for kids who cannot read. So if you could do that, we really would have a winning combination because this is really would fulfill a need. So we launched CRIS Kids for schools, And we are in a number of schools. We've conducted independent studies through Southern Connecticut State University. We found that first initial study, that kids improved their reading, 83% of the kids that use CRIS Kids, that were able to listen to the words and follow along. They were able to decode it. It raised their level of ability. And so we found that that was very successful. But what we wanted to do is we continue to evaluate their real impact. So right now, we're actually currently doing a study with the Enfield Public Schools. We're getting reading benchmarks from the schools on the kids that are using CRIS Kids. We're getting them from summer school, and we're also tracking how much they use it. And preliminary results are telling us that, guess what? The more the kids use it and listen, the better they're doing. And it's an extra modality. And it's AV, visual aids, audio visual aids. It's nothing new. It's just that we're just using it instead of somebody sitting with big headsets, they might be using a little iPod and a little MP3 player. And so they are able to listen to it that way. Other thing we did was we launched CRIS in Spanish. We heard from the Hispanic community. They said, you know, there's a lot of folks who once, even though they're bilingual, if they have, let's say, a stroke or some other type of disorder as they age, they revert back only to their primary language, and a lot of them were not literate in Spanish. So we're recording and streaming about 13 Spanish language newspapers and magazines like National Geographic in Spanish. We don't translate. We're doing People magazine in Spanish. We're doing health magazines in Spanish. So that has also been very exciting. And then there's our CRIS Access program, which is museums and audible exhibits. And I'll talk to you about that a little bit more later on. Okay, so this is what's happened. In 2010, we were making our service available to about 4,000 people. As we added more programs, it attracted more organizations. It attracted schools. We were able to use internet radios. And actually, Lou went out to and installed internet radios in 116 assisted living facilities, so in their common rooms. So now we're able to use internet streaming in these assisted living facilities. We're now in senior centers. This is all thanks to, really, it's thanks to technology and Lou and our volunteers for providing all this content. And it continued to increase. Then we realized that we could actually stream to each patient room in a hospital. So we are actually finalizing our agreement with Stanford Hospital for 4 streams. The 4 streams will be in CRIS Kids. We have 2 streams for CRIS Kids, by the way. One is for very young kids, like Ranger Rick Jr., and then we have Sports Illustrated Kids for the kids that are in secondary school level. So we have a number of those magazines. We stream those 2 magazines to hospitals. We're in St. Francis Hospital to each patient room through their TV. We're in Mount Sinai Rehabilitation Center. We're at Connecticut Children's Medical Center. And very soon for more streams at Stanford Hospital. And we've had some conversations or tried to reach out to Wyndham Hospital and actually Johnson Memorial. So we're continuing to reach out to those folks. Cool thing about this is that it's a fee for service, and it's a very modest fee for service. It's $1,200 a stream annually. So, for example, Stanford wants to put up 4 streams, so that's going to be $4,800 for a fee for service. Everybody wins. More people have access to CRIS radio. And the important thing to realize is that people who are under medical treatment or have a medical condition, sometimes, number one, if you're in the hospital, and I can say this from experience from when my husband was hospitalized a few years ago, it's a long day, and there's just so much TV you can take with the commercials. Mm-hmm. And also, sometimes you cannot position yourself to even look at the TV because of whatever type of surgery you've had or whatever. So being able to listen to maybe the Wall Street Journal or the National Geographic could be soothing, and it could also help pass the time for you. So we're very grateful that we're able to serve that many people. So
Diane, can you talk a little bit more, my ignorance, can you talk a little bit more about the streams So
Yes.
you have like kid streams and then there are adult streams?
Yes.
In other words, content?
So we have 4 streams, and the streams are, we use a particular type of broadcast equipment here, and then we stream it directly to that facility. And in that facility, like St. Francis Hospital, they have what they call a rack room where all of their cable TV and their in-house system comes. We plug in with our equipment and we stream it to them. And then they are able to take, so if they want 2 channels, St. Francis has 2 channels, English and Spanish. They stream, they have 2 blank channels that they stream CRIS Radio on. So you can listen to it in English and in Spanish.
And what would the content be?
The content is, so for CRIS Radio, it's what our 24/7 program is, which is
Okay.
about 50 newspapers and magazines. It's extensive. For Spanish, it's 13 magazines and newspapers. For the kids, it's probably a little more than 13, because for the older kids, we include some other magazines like Discover and Sports Illustrated articles, things like that, for high school kids. So we do that as well. And then, so that's sort of what those streams are. But it's all basically through technology. I think we began, you can start seeing the jumps. I think it was 2016 when we started streaming to St. Francis. Yeah, but sort of, we've done so much, I'm not sure exactly what year it was now. Okay. The other thing that we did, and this is really popular, we have this mobile app, and I'm going to actually, it's always concerning that if you try to demonstrate something and it doesn't work, but I'm sure it will work. But anyways, so we've had actually 3 renditions of our original mobile app here. I sit on 2 councils that are comprised of people who are blind or have very low vision, and they love this because the smartphone has voice over accessibility. So as you touch it, the words speak to you, and they're able to navigate this program. If they want to hear just streaming,
On them, keep growing because they are.
so this is what we're broadcasting right now.
Meanwhile, U.S.
But then, if they want to do on demand, and I will tell you, one of the first times I went out to speak to a group, they were a group of veterans, and they said, well, we like your CRIS Radio, but is it on demand? Because I'm not an old guy that sits in a rocking chair waiting for a program to come. I might be in my garden. I might want to listen to it in my garden, or whatever. So do you have on demand? And at that time, we didn't. So I said, but we will, and we did shortly afterwards. So our on-demand library is huge. So for our kids' magazines, we have 1,300 classroom titles now of kids, and that does not include the magazines. And then our CRIS Radio, we keep for a month worth of broadcasts. So if you want to see listen to People Magazine, or Wall Street Journal, or National Geo, you can go in, hit it, and you can go in the last 4 weeks and listen to that. So we have a very extensive on-demand schedule.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's going to show me totally.
No.
You said something about things translated into podcasts. Tell me what that means.
A podcast?
Well, I mean, how does that all work? Playing programs as podcasts. Who's the recipient, and what do you mean by a podcast versus just a streaming?
Oh, okay. So the difference between a podcast and a stream?
Streaming, yeah.
Streaming is okay. So when we stream CRIS Radio, that broadcast today that we just heard,
Right.
we also not only do we broadcast it to radios that accept frequencies,
Right.
we stream it through the internet.
Yeah.
And so people with smartphones, they're getting it through the internet or their phone.
Okay.
Okay, a podcast is just a fancy way to say recording. It's just, so when you come in and you do your editorials,
Yeah.
we create a podcast out of that.
Okay.
Now it's available, so you're live when you do it.
Right.
So that's broadcast and streamed at the same time. People have another chance to listen to you. They can now go on demand and listen to that recording. So we put it into our on-demand library.
So podcast is just
A recording.
pulling up a recording.
That's all it is.
That's simple.
Right, but that, they're referred to as podcasts.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay. Let's see. And no question is silly, you know, unless you're involved in this, you might not know what it is. So the other cool thing that we've been doing is CRIS Access, and actually Harry and Carol were able to join us. So CRIS Radio was one of 10 nonprofits in the Greater Hartford region selected by the Hartford Foundation to participate in this program called Social Enterprise Accelerator. And a lot of people have heard about social enterprise, which is doing good and raising money. Well, what has happened in the nonprofit community is it has become more and more challenging to raise money because state is cutting you. Individual donors. Last year, Lou and I were looking at, by the end of May, a year earlier, we had 213 individual donations, and individual donors. At the same time, this year, it was 93. The tax changes have impacted considerably the amount of individual donations you're having. So really, the need for organizations like CRIS Radio to go out and generate earned revenue, it's essential to sustain our program so that we can still make our service available to people who are unable to read.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, and I want to say, we started CRIS Access probably in 2013 at Old Sturbridge Village with a pilot. And what we wanted to do was we wanted to create audible exhibits based on the Smithsonian focus group. And there were a group of people who were blind, and they said, look, we do not want your grandmother's audio tour. We do not want to be at one exhibit for 10 minutes. We want to be able to graze this museum in the same manner that a typical person might do. So, what we did was we created old school QR codes. You take your smartphone, okay, and with the smartphone you can do it two ways. You can just take, if you have an iPhone, I had a lot of things open right now. And so I can take my camera, here's my camera, and I'm going to go up to this, and it scanned it, and now it's going to record. Oh, I took all my sound down, sorry.
Writing habits. Mark Twain often described himself as a naturally lazy man.
So,
However, he was a dedicated and
so what that is at Mark Twain House, we have these QR codes. The cool thing about QR codes, even though in technology world it's sort of old school, is it doesn't need batteries. You create the QR code, links right away to our audio recording. And so now people with disabilities can use their own device and be able to get access to these exhibits. We've done so far 70 exhibits in 7 museums and 1 accessible playground. We've been able to, at this point, have almost a 50% rate of return, but that we've done it all in-house. We haven't gone out and really made this into a business. The Hartford Foundation really liked our plan, and they said, you know what, we will help you create a business venture out of this, so that museums that are nonprofits as well and cannot afford much in terms of audio programs. A lot of the audible programs were $40,000, $60,000. They were way out of their budget. We came in with an affordable turnkey program so that we can almost instantly provide audio access at exhibits. And it's been very good. Hartford Foundation has offered to match up to $40,000. And so far, we've been able to get, our match so far has been $20,700. So our $20,700 donation is now $40,000, well, actually it's $41,400. So we are looking to raise another $14,000 with that match, so that we don't want to leave any of the $40,000 on the table. So, and this is what we're going to do in the near future. It's called the Greater West Hartford Lions Club donated to us $2,200 to create a GPS mobile app. And the Hart Foundation matched it with another $2,200. We have a developer now working on creating a standalone CRIS Access app. So it's going to be used only for the museums. And what folks can do is, as we get close, we're going to use GPS longitude and latitude triggers so you get to a certain location. So let's say you're at this site here. Once you have downloaded that app, that location, when you hit that location, it automatically triggers the audio. And it'll say, you are now at the Skyline Jumping Gym, or whatever it is. And it will be able to give you audio guided tour. Yeah. And so we expect, and we're going to beta test it at this particular accessible playground. That's my little granddaughter right there. She helped do the ribbon cutting. But anyways, the cool thing about this is 20, so right now I have almost 20 other exhibits in the pipeline because of this, hopefully the GPS. Historic Deerfield has contacted me. We're meeting in September. We expect that this will be, this new app will be ready in October, early October.
Isn't this a very informative presentation by Diane Carroll?
Excellent. She always does a great job.
Yes, she does. And here is the group that was there. Keith Beaver from District 23A, Carol, Charlie from 23C, yours truly, Lizette Pelletier from District 23B, our new District Governor Ev Lyons, and of course Diane Weaver Dunn. We'd like to leave you this evening with a biography from our new international president, Dr. Young-Yul Choi from South Korea. But that'll do it for this episode of Liner on Connecticut with Carol and Harry. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
I wake up 3 o'clock early morning. During the walking, I think what I'm gonna do today, what I'm gonna do tomorrow. So thinking, then I do.
Young-Yul Choi has not only watched South Korea transform from poverty to prosperity, he's lived it.
I was born during the World War II. We had a right after Korean War. We were really all suffering. We had no food. My father passed away before 1 full year after I born. Mom always teaching me, if you work harder, more than the ordinary people, you will be success. I dreamed I would like to be the billionaire.
Choi's mother sacrificed to provide a quality education for her son.
She sold out all her property to support 100% until I graduated college.
At Dong-Ah University, Choi earned a degree in horticulture before getting a master's in business administration. He also met his future wife.
Believe it or not, when I met them the first time, I told them, I'm going to propose you to be married with me.
좀 놀랬죠.
She thinks I'm a crazy man.
이건 아닌데.
5 years later, they were married.
She's the most beautiful girl still today. And also I love her so much. She's the best lady throughout my life.
The Chois have 5 children and 2 grandchildren.
I would like to be the really good father because I don't have a father.
He is a person with high expectations, especially of himself.
Choi made sure his children had a university education, but also established a scholarship fund for young people in need.
니는 지금 찍고 있는 거야.
Choi's rise to international success began with a focus on education and service to his country. As a lieutenant in the military, Choi served as an interpreter for the U.S. Army.
At that time in Korea, not many people speak in English.
Being fluent in English helped Choi advance in South Korea's emerging global economy.
Many companies would like to scout me because they started the export, but they do not have someone who can sell it.
In 1973, Choi launched his business Koala Limited, which exported shoes worldwide.
비즈니스 또 바이어들과 만나고 거기에서 얻은 다양한 지식이 주제와 같이 하지 않느냐 그런 생각입니다.
Choi has used his talents to serve the community through the Busan J-Il Lions Club since 1977.
행동이나 말이 아주 정열적이고 야 정말 가다가 훌륭한 라이온을 우리가 픽업했다.
When Choi retired at the age of 50, he had so much more to give. That's why he dedicated his life to lions.
Serving, so important. Make me so happy.
Busan Lions feed 600 people in need a warm meal every week and repair houses for elderly living on limited income.
사회에 조금 보탬이 되려고 노력하는 것 같았습니다. 그래서 불이웃을 보면은 이렇게 도와주고 하는 것 같아요.
그런 봉사를 주창하고 또 그렇게 한 사람입니다.
When organizing the OSEAL Forum and the International Convention in Busan, Choi took the opportunities to give back to the city by establishing 2 Lions Parks, a welcome green space in Busan's urban environment. For Choi, hands-on volunteering and financial giving are equally important.
에시아프 기금도 한국에서 제일 많이 내셨어. 저희들도 따라가기 위해서 계속 지금 내고 있는데
모든 일에 자기가 적극적이고 또 남을 위해 봉사를 먼저 하고.
My leadership style is servant leadership. How can I help you to achieve your goal?
저희들한테 가르치기를
servant leadership이다. 진취적인 그런 성격을 가지고 있고.
We have to prepare next generation.
You're the perfect person to bring all the lions together.
Our strongest point is its diversity in members.
We are all different thinking, more than 200 countries. We are united. We serve through diversity.
As international president, Choi will use diversity to bridge all divides. Jung-Yul Choi, 2019 to 2020 International President.
We hope you enjoyed our show this evening. Tune in next week for another Lion Around Connecticut with Carol and Harry. Good night.
Bye-bye.